So here we are looking at the NFL playoff picture, and I believe that we have some really good teams here. Let's start in the NFC, talking about the number one seed, the Rapid City Elk, who just went on a miraculous 17-0 season and are looking to make it 20-0 with a Super Bowl win. The number 2 and 7 matchup, I believe, is going to be a good one. We have the Memphis Pharaohs, led by Patrick Mahomes, against the St. Louis Stallions, led by Bryce Young, which it's looking like that's going to be a good matchup. The 3-6 seeds are going to be the San Jose SaberCats, headlined by Jalen Hurts, against the Tacoma Tridents, who, against all odds, ended up making the playoffs. And the 4-5 is going to be the Boise Bison, headlined by Dak Prescott, against the LA Spartans, headlined by none other than Joe Burrow. And now let's look over at the AFC. The Boulder Pandas hold the number 1 seed, also went on an amazing 17-0 run. They are looking to also have the perfect season, but you have some tough competition. The 2-7 seed is going to be the Louisville Stampede against the Tokyo Samurai. Samurai made an amazing late season push to get to the playoffs. They're looking to upset the Stampede. Your 3-6 matchup is going to be the Atlanta Crusaders against the Melbourne Crocs. Seeing if Australia is going to be able to make it. Maybe have 2 teams, not in America, making a deep playoff run. And the 4-5 is going to be the Fairbanks Frost against the Phoenix Hounds. The Frost have been an extremely tough team, pushing both the Elk and the Pandas into really close games, while the Hounds have maybe one of the best quarterbacks in MVP conversations right now in Josh Allen. And here we are going to go over the awards, starting with, of course, MVP, going to Xavier Worthy of the Rapid City Elk. Behind him at number 2 is Tyree Wilson for the Boulder Pandas. We have Jalen Milroe at 3 for the Elks, Bijan Robinson at 4 for the Pandas, and Jack Sawyer at 5 for the Elks, with Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, and Jalen Hurts bringing up the 6 through 10 for the Gladiators, Spartans, Hounds, Kraken, and Sabercats, respectively. For Coach of the Year, that is going to go to Mr. Bentley of the Rapid City Elk, leading them to a impressive 17-0 year. And as you can see, the coach for the Boulder Pandas is not up here. Well, that is due to the fact that 7 games into the year, they fired their head coach for some accusation and hired a new coach who kept them on the undefeated track. But going 10-0 was not enough to make the list. But behind Coach Bentley, you have Brian Callahan, Dave Canales, Pete Carroll, Kyle Shanahan, John Harbaugh, Sean McVay, Mike Vrabel, Raheem Morris, and Matt LaFleur, respectively. Going through the AFC, you're going to see for Offensive Player of the Year, it is going to go to Bijan Robinson of the Boulder Pandas, with his teammate JSN right behind him. But you also have DeAndre Hopkins, Jameson Williams, Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, and Puka Nacua of the Gladiators, Jacoby Myers, Curtis Samuel, and then Saquon Barkley. So a lot of surprises here, like Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Myers, and DeAndre Hopkins making this list. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Tyree Wilson for the Boulder Pandas in the second in MVP voting, and headlining the impressive Boulder Pandas defense, as you can see. Kayvon Thibodeau at 2, Christian Wilkins at 3, D. Winters at 4, Patrick Queen at 6, and Eric Armstead at 10 for Defensive Player of the Year. Byron Young makes it at 4 for Defensive Player of the Year voting off of the Tokyo Samurai, and Tremaine Edmonds, DeForest Buckner, and Harold Landry have 7 through 8 for the Crusaders, Hounds, and Colliers, respectively. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Teteroa McMillan of the Honolulu Kraken, with his teammate Travis Hunter right behind him in second. Aston Genty in third for the Boulder Pandas. Yet Tyler Warren at 4 for the Birmingham Ironclads, and Cam Scattaboo at 5 for the Louisville Stampede. Jaden Higgins and Mecca Ibuka, Matthew Golden, Quinshawn Judkins, and Harold Fannin hold 6 through 10, respectively. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Abdul Carter with an insane season for the Atlanta Crusaders, with Jalen Walker at 2 for the Tokyo Samurais, and Oluwafemi Oladejo at 3 for the Charleston Colliers. Jahad Campbell at 4 for the Phoenix Hounds, and Shamar Stewart at 5 for the Philadelphia Soul. Aston Gelati, Mason Graham, Benjamin Morris, Trey Amos, and Landon Jackson hold 6 through 10. Best quarterback in the AFC is going to go to Josh Allen of the Phoenix Hounds, with Matt Stafford right behind him on the Cleveland Gladiators. Yet Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, Drake May, Max Duggan, Jordan Love, and Lamar Jackson. Max Duggan was more of just holding down the offense. He was more of the assist man, point guard type than the actual star quarterback, but being the quarterback of a 17-0 team, it's going to get you some respect. Bijan Robinson is the #1 running back in the AFC after an insane season. Saquon Barkley is close behind him at 2 for the Melbourne Crocs. You have Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Aston Genty, also on the Pandas, Rico Dowdle, Cam Scatabo, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, and James Cook, bringing up 3 through 10, respectively. While best receiver goes to JSN for the Pandas. He pretty much was their only target that they had. While DeAndre Hopkins and Jamison Williams for the Kraken and Frost hold up 2 and 3. Puka Nacua on the Gladiators at 4, and Jacoby Myers on the St. Louis Peaks at 5. With Curtis Samuel, Rome Dunze, Jalen Colbert, A.J. Brown, and Teteroa McMillan holding up 6 through 10. For best O-line, it is going to go to Chris Lindstrom of the Phoenix Hounds. Top protector for Josh Allen wins best O-line, while Ryan Kelly, the center of the best rushing offense, is #2 off of the Boulder Pandas. You have Dominic Pooney for the Melbourne Crocs at 3, Garrett Bowles at 4 for the Panda, Leverett at 5, Dickerson at 6, and Patrick McCarry at 7, also for the Pandas. Trey Smith and Elijah Vera Tucker hold 8 and 9, and Kelvin Beecham at 10 for the Boulder Pandas. Best D-line goes to Tyree Wilson. And you see top 3 players, Wilson, Thibodeau, and Wilkins, the insane defensive line for the Boulder Pandas. Byron Young at 4, and Harold Landry at 5. And you have DeForest Buckner, Kyle Granderson, Jonathan Cooper, T.J. Watt, and Eric Armstead at 6 through 10. For best linebacker, it is going to go to D. Winters with Patrick Queen right behind him for the Boulder Pandas. Terrell Bernard at #3 for the Tampa Bay Riptide. Cole Holcomb, Tremaine Edmonds, Ivan Pace Jr., Zaire Franklin, Kazir White, Drew Tranquil, and Devin Lloyd bring up 4 through 10. #1 for best corner is going to go to Jalen Johnson on the Salt Lake Peaks, with Sean Murphy Bunting at 2 for the Cleveland Gladiators and Greg Newsom at 3 for the Melbourne Crocs. Benjamin St. Juste at 4 for the Pandas, Christian Benford at 5 for the Ironclads, Kendall Fuller at 6 for the Gladiators, Benjamin Morrison at 7 for the Honolulu Kraken, Tyler Newton and Minka Fitzpatrick at 8 and 9 for the Boulder Pandas, and Brandon Stevens at 10 for the Crusaders. Our best kicker is going to go to Cam Little off of the Boulder Pandas. Going 17-0 is going to get you a lot of awards. And now we'll go through the individual awards for the NFC. Offensive Player of the Year going to the league MVP, Xavier Worthy, and Stephon Diggs at number 2 for the Stallions of St. Louis. Jalen Milroe and Aldrich Estime bring up 3 and 4, while Amon-Ra St. Brown is number 5 for the Duluth Lynx. George Pickens, Joe Burrow, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Parker Washington, and Christian McCaffrey hold 6 through 10. For Defensive Player of the Year, the top 5 all belong to the Rapid City Elks of Jack Sawyer, Tomiwa Adebawore, Dorian Williams, Savion Jones, and Chris Jenkins Jr. While 6 through 10 are going to be Aiden Hutchinson, Frankie Lulu, Greg Rousseau, Vita Vea, and Jonathan Allen. Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to go to Jalen Milroe, quarterback of the Rapid City Elks, with just his teammate Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt at number 2. Isaac Tesla, the top target for Patrick Mahomes on the Memphis Pharaohs at 3. Omarion Hampton at 4, and Brashard Smith at 5. You have Torrey Horton, Dante Thornton Jr., Luther Burden, Mason Taylor, and Jack Besh at 6 through 10. The Defensive Rookie of the Year, of course, the top 5 all go to the Rapid City Elk. Jack Sawyer, Savion Jones, Malachi Starks, Darian Porter, and Nick Imanwuri, all of the Elk. 6 through 10 is going to be Carson Schlesinger, Walter Nolan, Q Robinson, Kenneth Grant, and TJ Sanders. Best quarterback, Jalen Milroe, was in MVP consideration, but his receiver was just too good, and with Milroe missing a couple games, he was not able to get MVP, but he at least gets best quarterback. Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, Mac Jones, Jared Goff, and Bo Nix bring up 2 through 10. While best running back, it is going to be the 1-2 punch of Audric Estime and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, of course, getting 1 and 2. Christian McCaffrey at 3, Isaiah Pacheco at 4, and Josh Jacobs at 5. With Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Omarion Hampton, Jalen Warren, and Kenneth Walker have 6 through 10. Best receivers, of course, going to MVP Xavier Worthy, with Stephon Diggs right behind him. Amon-Ra, George Pickens, and Parker Washington at 3 through 5. Cedric Tillman, Kayshawn Boutte, Devonta Smith, Malik Neighbors, and Zay Flowers hold 6 through 10, while best lineman goes to Mike McGlinchey. Eric McCoy at 2, Jack Conklin 3, Tyler Booker at 4, Cody Mock at 5, Will Fry 6, Nathan Thomas, the backup tackle, at 7 for the Elks, Joe Tooney at 8, Tyler Linderbaum at 9, and Creed Humphrey at 10. Rapid City Elk allowed too many sacks this year to have many of their offensive linemen make this list outside of Tyler Linderbaum and the backup Nathan Thomas, who filled in for an injured Will Campbell. Best E-line, top 4, Jack Sawyer, Adetomiwa Adebawore, Savion Jones, and Chris Jenkins. Amazing defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson at 5, Greg Rousseau at 6, Vita Vea, Jonathan Allen, Von Miller, and John Hines Allen at 7 through 10. Best linebacker, Dorian Williams, his superstar breakout, just an absolute insane linebacker. Frankie Louvu 2, Junior Colson 3, Quay Walker 4, Trevin Wallace 5, Bobby Okereke at 6, Adrian Cooper at 7, Fred Warner at 8, Ernest Jones at 9, and Omar Spates at 10. Our best DB, top 3, Malachi Starks, Darian Porter, and Nick Imanwuri all play for the Elks. And then you have Drew Phillips, Marcus Jones, Deshaun Elliott, Tyke Smith, Jeremy Chin, Harrison Smith and Christian Fulton, bringing up 4 through 10. And best kicker goes to Cameron Dicker for the Elk. Bates, Tucker, Pinheiro, Cardi, McLaughlin, Luke, Myers, Patterson, and Ryland at 2 through 10. Rapid City Elk goes 17-0, one of the best teams in the history of the league, and they tend to seem to sweep the awards here. And now let's go through the wild card game, starting with the overtime thriller, the Tokyo Samurai beating the Louisville Stampede. CJ Stroud and Drake May battled it out, but it looks like Drake May just got passed in overtime by a field goal. Some really good play here out of the Samurai, really helped them move on and be able to go play the Boulder Pandas in the divisional round. As we look through the stats here, you can see it appears that, in all honesty, the Stampede looked like the better team, but the Samurai just fought with more heart and are able to get the win in overtime, keeping it close the whole game and just barely pulling out in the end. The 3-6 matchup in the AFC sees the Melbourne Crocs beat the Atlanta Crusaders 24-17. Kyler Murray getting past Brock Purdy off of the back of Saquon Barkley's 200 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Crocs dominate the ground game, get a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, and they do not look back. An absolute dominant game out of Melbourne here, both offensively and defensively, getting multiple sacks, and the big rushing game out of Saquon to move on to the next round. And the final game of the AFC Wildcard saw the Phoenix Hounds dominate the Fairbanks Crocs. Jordan Love just could not get it done against this Phoenix defense, even without Josh Allen having a great game, because they got good game on the ground. 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 for Kyle Monongai, 1 for Josh Allen on the ground, and absolutely stuffed Derrick Henry in the backfield. Not much going on in the passing game for either teams outside of a touchdown to Jameson Williams, because a absolute sack fest happened. You see multiple players here with 2 sacks: Jonathan Cooper, Will Anderson, and Jermaine Johnson. All 3 end up with 2 sacks here in the game, as the Hounds easily breezed past the Fairbanks Crocs. Over to the NFC, the 2-7 matchup ends up being a blowout, but it's the Stallions blowing out the Pharaohs 33-3 after Patrick Mahomes only has 2 pass attempts before leaving with injury, bringing in Kirk Cousins. So Bryce Young gets to come out and have a relatively easy game, knowing he does not have to go against Patrick Mahomes on the other side. Samir White, 2 rushing touchdowns in a big game to step up. Missing Breece Hall, having Cam Akers and Samir White carry the load, really helped propel the Stallions to this win. And as you can see, not much goes on in the passing game. Isaac Tesla gets shut down, and an absolute sack fest by the Stallions, looking like they put up 6 sacks here against this porous Memphis offensive line. 3 of them for Cam Hayward in an absolute player of the week fashion here for the St. Louis Stallions. The 3-6 matchup of the Tacoma Tridents and the San Jose SaberCats sees a fairly easy victory for the SaberCats, 28-6. as Jalen Hurts has 4 touchdown passes, and the SaberCats shut down Mac Jones, keeping them off the board of any touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs is able to handle the rock, do just enough to help take pressure off of Jalen Hurts in the passing game. And you see Josh Downs, George Pickens, and Evan Ingram all receive touchdowns in this game because of it. Defensively, though, the SaberCats were all over Mac Jones. 1.5 sacks for Josh Sweat, 1 for Baron Browning and Deshaun Elliott, and a half for Fabio Okereke, Adoree Jackson, and Kenneth Grant. Absolute just domination by the SaberCats defense, and an easy game for Jalen Hurts through the air. And probably the most thrilling game of them all was the LA Spartans against the Boise Bison, with the Spartans winning in overtime 35-28. Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott both put up over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in an absolute shootout. Trey Benson adds a rushing touchdown, as does Tank Bigsby. And Michael Pittman Jr., 108 yards and a touchdown, versus Garrett Wilson's 96 and a touchdown. Parker Washington got 1, while Marvin Harrison was able to get 2, and Trey Benson gets a receiving touchdown in this game also. As you saw, the defense, there were a couple sacks, but it seemed like no matter what the offense wanted to do, there was no one stopping them in their way, as the LA Spartans move on to the divisional round.